Blazing Staff. This staff deals huge area damage. It's suitable for duo PvP and group PvE. In Mist, the Blazing Staff is popular when paired with an Incubus Mace. For example, a 5.3 staff can wipe out 4000 HP in one spell rotation. In theory, you could easily take down 8.3 players with a 5.3 build, but the whole concept of this build is countered by a single cleansing potion. We move on to skills. First Q, Firebolt, deals damage to a selected target and sets it on fire, inflict additional periodic damage. We take the first Q in PvE for bosses. In PvP Mist we use it only if there's something to speed up spellcasting, like the Shola Robe or the Morgana Cape. Second Q, Burning Field. You throw a fiery sphere that deals damage and ignite the ground in a 3-meter radius for 4 seconds. Opponents in this area will take periodic damage. Area damage is great for PvE mobs. In PvP you can use it instead of the first Q, if your build lacks items that speed up spellcasting. Third Q, Searing Flame. You unleash a flame up to 18 meters, dealing damage to a hit enemy and setting them on fire. If you hit 3 times in a row, the first flame charge deals double damage. Due to the skill's range, it's used for kiting in PvP. Specifically, for the Blazing Staff, the skill doesn't work well, because the goal of the Blazing Staff is to quickly burst down an opponent in the one spell rotation. First W, Flame Blast. You channel fiery energy toward a selected target, yourself, an ally or an enemy. After 1.6 seconds, all enemies within a 5-meter radius around the target take damage. If the target was an enemy, they receive damage instantly. If the target is you or an ally, your movement speed increases by 16% for 1.6 seconds. This skill offers decent mobility, but we don't use it specifically for the Blazing Staff. Second W, Wall of Flames. You create a wall of fire in front of you. Enemies who touch it will burn for 3 seconds, and burning enemies will run in the opposite direction from the firewall. It's very strong skill against melee opponents, and can be used if a fight is unavoidable during PvE content. Third W, Raging Fire. You unleash a flame that explodes on impact, dealing damage and setting all enemies within a 5-meter radius on fire. This W deals a lot of area damage and can be used for PvE. Fourth W, Fire Wave. In a cone-shaped area it deals damage and knocks enemies back. If an opponent is under the burning effect from Q abilities, they take additional damage. We use this W in PvE if there are mobs whose casts need to be interrupted. Fifth W, Fire Artillery. You launch Fire Blast at selected enemy, which land and deal damage with igniting the ground beneath them. This W deals the most damage to stationary targets. It can be used in PvE and also in Duo Mist when paired with an Incubus Mace. E-Spell, Flaming Tornado. You create a fiery tornado with a 5-meter radius for 5 seconds that deals magic damage. Enemies who leave the area continue to take damage for 2.4 seconds, which cannot be reflected. And now passives. First passive, each auto attack sets the enemy on fire. The Blazing Staff's main damage comes from skills, so we don't take the first passive. Second passive, each auto attack restores a small amount of mana. You can use it in PvP if you're running out of mana. Third passive, after every fourth spell it increases your spellcasting speed. We use it if we're playing with the first Q, Firebolt. Fourth passive, every fifth spell increases your damage dealt by 10% for 4 seconds. We use it if we're playing with the second Q, Burning Field. Builds for Duo Mists. For the Blazing Staff, there are plenty of one-shot builds to suit any taste. I'll talk about the 2 most popular ones and how to use them. You can start with a 4.2 build. Its approximate cost is 360k. Cleric Cowl. You turn into an ice block for 4 seconds, becoming immune to damage and crowd control. Mage Robe. Speeds up spellcasting by 15% and reduces mana cost by 17% for 8 seconds. By activating the rope, we can cast E and the first Q faster. Royal Sandals increases your movement speed and damage, while reducing your defense for the duration of the skill. Fort Sterling Cape removes all crowd control effects and debuffs from you, activating when you're hit by a control effect. For consumables, Beef Stew and Giant Potion to stay alive longer. With this build you can use the second Q. The spell rotation looks like this. Activate the boots, the rope, E, Q and W. Second build for Duo Mists. It'll cost around 500k. Mistwalker Hood. You become immortal, making it impossible to drop your health below 1 HP while the spell is active. Use it when your health is almost gone. Mage Rope to cast E and Q faster. Royal Sandals to increase our damage. Morgana Cape speeds up spellcasting by 15%. The cape activates when you use your E ability. Same consumables as in the first build. With this build we use the first Q. The spell rotation looks like this. Boots, rope, E, W and spam Q. If your HP drops rapidly, use the Mistwalker Hood. Builds for PvE statics, Avalonian roads and dungeons. Approximate cost around 800k. Assassin Hood. Speeds up spell recovery for 2.7 seconds. Use it right after your spell rotation to quickly reset E and other skills. Royal Rope. Increases magic damage by 5% and reduces spellcasting time by 10% for up to 6 allies. The effect stacks up to 6 times. In PvE, this rope is must-have, since it buffs the entire team damage. Or Druid Rope. Increases your damage by 6% for each spell casting. Stacks up to 6 times. We take the Druid Rope if someone in the team already has the Royal Rope. Royal Sandals for more damage. Loomhurst Cape to keep your mana from running out. For consumables, Beef Stew, Calming or Invisibility Potions. Build for group hunting. Overall, for hunting, any mishmash build that deals high single damage will do. Approximate cost is also 800k. Royal Cowl reduces the mana cost of skills to 0 for 15 seconds. Druid Rope, Royal Sandals, Morgana Cape, all these things to increase our damage. We absolutely use the first Q and the third passive. For consumables, Beef Stew, Calming Potion or Invisibility Potions. Pros and cons. The Blazing Staff deals a ton of damage to stationary target. It's in demand for PvE, and it's relatively inexpensive. From cons, the main downside is that the staff isn't self-sufficient in PvP. The staff has low mobility, and in PvP it's countered by Cleansing Potion. That's all, thanks for watching.